Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Struggling Hunters, where you have a couple of the greatest hunting people in the world talking to you tonight. Well, I don't know about greatest, but two guys that really try very hard to get out there and do give it their best of abilities. They may not be hunting in the right spot, they may not be in the right area, but you can be guaranteed that they're sure giving it their best while they're out there. So you have me and Eric together tonight again, and hope we'll be discussing a little bit about our hunts that we or hunt or what we've done over the weekend, and maybe what we're looking forward to. And we're going to be discussing a little bit about a couple of turkey hunting articles that we kind of thought we could bring to the board or bring to you guys and discuss a little bit. Um, Definitely made me think about some things I'm doing. So hopefully, if you're listening, you can think about how you're hunting turkeys and maybe uh, think about how you're going to change or keep doing and not really pay too close attention to what we're saying because you're already a great hunter, which I hope you are. But if you're not, I hope what we have to say tonight can help you um, gain something in your bag of trips, in your bag of tricks to get closer to bagging that turkey or be successful in whatever way you find success. But
Couldn't have said it better myself, Joe.
thank you.
Yeah.
Um, with that being said, I guess we can dive off and discuss kind of, I guess, what we did this weekend. I know we were kind of talking, and Eric was, I think, doing a side of the hunter's life, being a hunter's husband, a hunting dad. You know that comes with, as part of as we've said, we call ourselves the struggling hunters. That kind of falls outside of hunting at times and into our personal lives, and things need to get done, and we um, can't always just let things go by the wayside that need to be taken care of. And that's what it's all about, being I guess hunters like us, is there's things that come up that need to get done, and hunting needs to be kind of put on the back burner at times, and our families need to be taken care of.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, for sure. You want me to take it over right there?
yeah, that's not. We'll
So,
let you. I would
sounded
pass
like you're.
the mic.
Yeah, there you go. It sounded like you're handing it off a little bit, so I'll just run away with it. Yeah, so I was planning on going out hunting all day Sunday, and long story short, earlier this year, as the weather was getting a little warmer, I went up to get my swamp cooler ready for the summer. And I told my wife, I was like, ah, man, that swamp cooler is not looking in good shape. It's just old and rusted out. It's probably over 20 years old. And I don't, the people that lived here before me, probably, I'm imagining probably didn't take care of it very well, or it sure looks like they didn't anyway. Anyway, long story short, fast forward to this last week, and once, or we got it set up a couple weekends ago, and right away, uh, one of the catches where the side door uh, sets on, it was all rusted out, and so the door like actually fell out of the swamp cooler.
Yeah,
And I was like, yeah, I don't know, it's man, this thing's not looking good. And anyways, long story short, I went and checked it the other day, and the bottom of it was like it was just kind of leaking everywhere, and I'm like, I gotta change that out. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just change it out Saturday. And I had another swamp cooler uh, that her grandpa had an extra one or whatever, so I took his. So I grabbed that, and I was like, I'll just switch this out Saturday, and it'll probably take me all day Saturday. I went to my son's game, and we did all that. But as soon as the game was over, I was pretty much on top of the roof. Anyways, I had to replace everything on there, and it was just it was one of those calls where I was like, I have to. I worked on it all day Saturday, and I didn't even get halfway done, and I was like, I'm gonna have to not hunt Sunday. I can't do it. So I had to finish it up and I got it all finished Sunday night, and it's working good and everything. But like Joe said, it's one of those uh, probably not a lot of people talk about on their podcast, but it's one of those duties that is not fun, but you got to still do it and get it done. Otherwise, we would have just had a big old hole in our roof, if I
Uh-huh.
didn't get it done. So had to spend the whole weekend doing that. Man, that was tiresome. Like, I mean, coming into work on Monday, I was like, man, I'm so stiff and sore from being up on that roof for 2 days in a row. But anyway, so that's pretty much how my turkey hunting season went, and it's dwindling down. I think I said this in another podcast, but I'm actually not going to be able to hunt this coming weekend either. Which I guess this podcast, yeah. Anyway, this coming weekend, I'm not going to be able to hunt either because we're going to over to Denver and gonna go do some stuff over there. Go to the zoo. Might maybe take a few pictures of some stuff or something. I don't know. Just try to have fun, spend time with the family,
Yeah.
and going over there for a wedding thing for my wife's friend. But while we're there, we're gonna go to the zoo, so that'll be fun. Eh, But I'm not gonna turkey hunt, so that's kind of a bummer. But to bring up my spirits, today I was driving down the road and I saw some elk cross the road, so I was like, well, shoot, I'm gonna drive up a little bit further, act like I didn't notice them or whatever, and pull off and try to run down there a little ways and see if I could get a few pictures of them. So I'm heading down there and I'm not seeing them, and I'm like, man, this sucks, But happened to just look at the right spot at the right time, and I found this pretty nice size antler, and I just like I almost forgot about the elk after that because I was so excited for finding that antler. I was like, I picked it up and I'm like, yes, man, because me and antler hunting. Now, to be fair, I probably don't go for it as hard as I should. I don't put enough time into antler hunting to be efficient at it or good at it, but yeah, I'm just not. I mean, I don't know how many I've stepped over. Now I found deadheads. That's the weird thing. Like over the years, I've found a deadhead here and there, and I'm like, oh, that's cool, But like just finding straight up antlers, it seems like I could walk over them and my buddy behind me will pick them up or whatever. And so I've never been a good antler hunter, and I found that one today, and it just totally turned my spirits around. I was so excited, and it's a nice little. It's a 4 point, but it kind of has a start of an eye guard, and it's pretty white. So I mean, it's been out there a little while. And that's probably how I saw it because it was so white. But still, either way, I was pretty excited for getting that antler. So it really made my weekend. I put it up on our Instagram. If you guys want to check that out, it's at the Struggling Hunters on Instagram. And I think I Facebook too, right? And there's some pictures.
Yeah.
Didn't I post it over to Facebook? So
Yeah.
so it's on Facebook too. Same thing, the Struggling Hunters. If you guys want to check the antler out, it's pretty cool. I'm excited about it anyways. And uh I guess if you wanted to check that out, you could also hit there should be a link in our description to take you right
Yeah.
over there. So anyway, yeah, that was kind of my weekend and kind of wrapping up my weekend. That's really what I did. Swamp cooler and horn hunting. So, but I didn't get a picture of it, but I got to see those elk. And in that area where I was today, that was the first time I ever seen elk in that general area. I kind of didn't think that after I walked down in there, after I found the antler and I was kind of looking around, I'm like, I could see where they'd be hanging out down in this little draw, but that was the first time I ever saw them in there. So I was kind of excited about that, kind of take a middle note next hunting season. Maybe I can get a get a crack at one if I go hunting in that area. I need to start hunting. I'm always up there, but I always avoid it because that's where I work. And I'm like, I don't want to hunt where I work, just because I'm always there. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah, well, it's like your office. You don't want to go in on your days off.
exactly, it truly is. That's truly what it feels like. And so I try to hunt everywhere else, but man, I see so much wildlife up in that area. So it's pretty nice. It's pretty nice being able to see all that wildlife. I'm pretty fortunate for that. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's pretty much like I said. That's all I got for my weekend. What about you, Joe? How was your weekend?
Oh, it was fun. Did a little, did a trip down to in the Penguich area to go hunting with my little sister. Um, it's I gotta say it's been kind of a learning experience this turkey season. Like last year, I went out a couple times. This year, actually, like getting into turkeys, and it's given me kind of a lot to think about. And just as far as calling and trying to calling turkeys, and then trying to think about calling elk, during the bow archery hunt. But anyways, kind of going down a rabbit hole before I get even get to what happened this weekend. We went, we got up early, got up, set up our stand early in the morning before the sun was up, go to put out putting out decoys and set up in a tree and or set up, not in a tree stand, but just, at the base of a couple junipers and stuff, kind of using those as camouflage. And the sun came up, I was trying to work the call purring or whatnot. And as I were sitting there, we heard two different gobbles, and but we nothing. And then we thought me and little sister thought we heard some turkey kind of clucking, working its way around us, and we're kind of getting excited. And there I'd wait a long time in between my calls, and I was like, all right, I think I'm doing good. We're not moving, haven't seen anything move, and we're sitting there quiet, and we talk to each other, like, did you hear that? Yeah, it sounds like there's a hen. Sound like there's a hen clucking. All right. And then there's this little bird. I can't even tell you what it looked like, but just this little bird comes jumping out and kind of makes the noises, and like, oh, well, all right. There was that hour of our life.
Yeah, let me add something real quick. I've done that. Also being an inexperienced turkey hunter, getting so pumped up trying to find birds, and then there's all these other birds chirping around you, and you're like, was that a turkey? No, that's not a turkey, but it definitely kind of gets you once in a while. You're so excited to try to get into the turkeys, and you kind of get fooled. I guess
Yeah, well, and that's
they're
one of the fun things too, is sitting there in the morning and hearing all the birds going off. And it was actually quite noisy, like as far as different birds making noise. As I was sitting there just kind of taking in the morning and kind of trying to, like, listen to what's going on. There's a lot of bird noises that was going on. So when that sounded like a cluck or chirp or whatever, I can't remember which noise exactly it was, but like I was like, oh, there it is.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I've done that a few times too. Just same, it's pretty much the same thing. But it is kind of funny, whenever you're listening for bird sounds, how many other birds are actually around. I don't know, in the fall when we're hunting for deer and elk, I think we kind of tune those sounds out a lot. I don't know if we really take those sounds in because we're not looking for birds
Right.
during that time, because it's something that I kind of took note of that too. Uh, Mostly last year, I took note of that. Of man, there's a lot of birds that make a lot of sound in these canyons that I never really realized. So it's interesting.
Yeah. Well, that's like one of the fun things too, is, like sitting there being quiet, like it's just the evening hunts I've been going on, but just enjoying like the wildlife that you see, like, like even the Saturday had a little chickmunk come running up, kind of almost at my feet and running around. And then he kind of get one under a bush and kind of noticed there was something different, odd. And he kind of turned around, stood up on his hind legs, and looked like he was checking me out. But like it's just fun to be, like just to slow down too. That's one of the things that makes it enjoyable to me, and seeing the wildlife trying to interacting in their own realm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so we go ahead.
I saw that a couple weekends ago. Whenever I was up there, like this, it kind of looked like a family of chipmunks, and they're all kind of walking in a line on this little deadfall log, and they're all like walking in a line. And I was like, oh man, that'd be great B-roll for some video. And as soon as I turned on the camera and everything, they were pretty much gone. I got a little bit of B-roll of other chipmunks, but it was really cool to watch because there was like five of them, and it kind of looked like it was like the dad, the mom, and the kids, well, and it was kind of a cool little sight. That's what sucks. Some of the stuff that you see that you can't really get on film.
Yeah,
It's kind of a disservice a little bit because it's pretty cool seeing some of
it is.
that stuff.
And then like kind of along those lines there, like so we it got late enough in the morning, we decided to move. And we started moving, and we kind of walked in this little clearing, and then I caught movement up the hill from us, and it was probably about 150 yards or 100 yards probably. It was fairly close. And but it was a coyote that was like bobbing through the woods, and it was, I caught movement kind of parallel to us. I watched the movement, and it kind of started running towards us, and he saw us and just kind of perched up there and staring at us for a good couple minutes. And like Beckett got to see him. And there was two of them. I saw movement behind that one. He stood there and watched us for a little bit, and then he had enough and turned and ran off. But and then so that kind of was one of those things that made the morning. And continued hunting, did a big loop, called every so often. And we did come across some turkey poop, and some old turkey poop. But then we ended up, so we kind of we probably should have, I think we messed up, but I can't say it was quite a mess up. But well, how do you know, hindsight without success? Anyways, we probably should have stayed there because of the gobbles we heard. um we don't think there's anybody else in the area, but I think that's the next thing is I got to learn, is like maybe I didn't see full success, not being too discouraged, but work out where we think the success was, instead of just giving up on the whole area. But we went up to another area in the mountain, and we did find a turkey track, and so we kind of hunted that area in the evening, just calling, but we didn't hear nothing. So that was our turkey hunt Saturday, and Sunday came home. But there, like I said, I'll throw in there, we did find some horny toads. We came across three different horny toads, three different sizes. One the full grown adult, and then another one was kind of smaller than that one. Then we found one that was really itty bitty. He probably was 3/4 to maybe an inch long. And that sucker, usually horny
Oh
toads
wow.
don't move very quick, but that little sucker, he would flat out move
He
for a
was getting out of there, huh?
yeah, like usually like the bigger one, he didn't move all that much. And so I got pictures of him, and the one just beneath him that was just smaller, he ran around a little bit more than the bigger one did. But that little bitty one, man, I was like, I knew where he was in this little bush, and I tried to, you know, get pictures of him, and he would not have it. I'd get my phone down there to get a picture, and he was gone.
That's funny.
Yeah. So I mean, like, like as far as turkey hunting, what did I learn? Uh, I learned that maybe I should have stayed where I heard the gobbles and hunt in the evening, where they'd go back to roost. Uh, should have done that. Um, and then kind of what we're going to get into here, we'll talk a little bit about, but like trying to understand turkeys a little bit better, and kind of maybe how they see, how they hear, what they're looking, what kind of food they're looking for through the day. Um, but at the end of the day, it was a fun hunt. Gotta
Yeah.
gotta see coyote, gotta see find horny toads, and you know, it's it was a great opportunity in the woods. Like, yeah, we weren't successful. I think we say that every time that we talk, but like, no, it was a great time though. I'd like to see success as far as filling my tag, but the being in the woods, it was a great time.
Yeah, for sure. That's really all that it's about. I mean, it's sometimes I think we get so focused on the stuff that we're not seeing that we forget to focus on the stuff that we do see, for sure.
Yeah, well said.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I probably heard it somewhere.
Yeah, you probably heard it from me. It sounds like something I'd
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. It sounds exactly like something you'd say.
But yeah, so I guess that's kind of the end of my weekend, end of my hunt for that weekend. But I guess kind of go into a little bit about what we're the other part of our podcast this today is discussing turkeys. I kind of being out and me and my little sister got talking, we want to understand turkeys a little bit better, and found this article that kind of talked about turkeys and how they see, which was kind of eye opening because last year, um, you know, getting into turkey hunt, I more or less just was like, oh, it's turkey season. I'm gonna go buy a turkey tag. I'm gonna go out, and I didn't have any success really. Well, one weekend I saw a hen, heard some gobbles, but I didn't really know what I was doing, or really, like I was out. This year, I'm having more success as far as hearing things and seeing turkeys. But what I was getting at, it was last year, everyone's like, oh, you gotta have good camouflage. Their eyesight's amazing. And I was like, ah, yeah, whatever, like they're an animal. They can't be that great. People, I've heard stories like, oh, you don't want to wear red, they clue into red, or wear sunglasses so that way they don't see your eyes. Um and I was like, yeah, whatever, yeah, this they can't be that well, their eyes can't be that great. So I stumbled across this article, um, and I get reading it, and it's talking about how turkeys see, which is kind of it's kind of crazy in a way because they have some amazing strengths, but at the same time they have some weaknesses that go along with how they see. Um, and without, I guess, going too deep into it, I'll kind of give you the kind of the cliff notes. I should actually, I'll just, I think I got it pulled up. The word, I'll just kind of give it what how they see, just because that way it'll be a little bit more easier to understand. Because so first of all, we think of the turkey's head. We compare our head to the turkey's head. Our eyes are forward facing, so we have kind of a 180 degree field of view. Whereas a turkey's, their eyes are more or less on the side of their head, and the way they're positioned, it gives them a 270-degree field of view. So it get, they kind of have a wider field of view on that little bitty head of theirs. But the other thing um, that is kind of interesting is so I guess this article said too that they kind of have a mono vision, like they don't see depth very well, and that's why they always kind of bob their head, because they're trying to, I guess, pick up the depth,
Yeah.
is what they're saying. Um, but the interesting thing was is so we have rods and cones in our eyes that I guess that kind of help us to see color and to yeah, I guess more or less see color is what it's for. So we have one rod and three cones totaling in it says four different types of photoreceptors. So we can see color okay and depth okay with where our eyes are. But turkeys says have seven different kinds of photoreceptors. And so they have one rod, four single cones, and two double cones. And this allows them to see a broader spectrum of color. So it's saying, it goes on and says that they can see a UVA light. So ultraviolet light that they can see. So it gives them a different color. I don't know exactly. So well, it says what is kind of, I'll just read this part too. So it says what this means, instead of trying to explain it, because I want you guys to understand what I'm trying to say. It says, so what this means, in addition to being able to see color better than us, is they also see in ultraviolet spectrum. Um, so this says, so if I wanted to see how a turkey sees, should I just shine a black light over my clothes, see how it glows? How it glows, and it says it's complicated. Certain substance, so certain photophosphorus things, that how things glow. Um, uh, so it says yes, more or less, that turkeys kind of see a bit of a glow, and it goes on to say that like, yeah, you're camouflaged up, but more or less a turkey's going to be able to pick you out even though you're camouflage. And then it kind of goes into talking about, well, do I need to worry about blazed orange or not? And it more or less says, being that a turkey can see you, it doesn't matter what color camouflage you're wearing.
Right.
It kind of, the end of the story kind of comes, well, it all determines on how the turkey is deciphering you, as meaning, are you a threat, are you friend or foe? And that's when it decides to run or not. So even though it may see you, and then it's deciding if you're a friend or foe, flight or fight, like, am I going to run, am I going to stay? So that's, again, I guess, not moving when turkeys are around is probably more of a help than a hindrance, which is to be said for anything you're hunting. But
Yeah.
I just thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah. That was an interesting article. Uh, what I thought was pretty crazy was that they can see better than somebody with 20/20 vision, or
Oh, yeah. Eight
and they can
times the better.
eight. Yeah, was it 8 times better or 8 times further? 8 times
Uh,
better, huh?
yeah. So supposedly they can see 3 times sharper than a person with 20/20 and 8 times further away.
Yeah, there you go.
So,
That's crazy. That's like an archery pair of binoculars there.
right. So, so even,
So
even
they
though,
got natural vortex on their eyeballs.
yes, exactly.
But that kind of correlates with what you're saying a few podcasts back, where you said, yeah, me and my sister were hunting deer or whatever, and these turkey like popped their head out, and like we moved our hand or whatever you said, and
Yeah,
they turned around and went right back. I mean, it kind of makes sense now, understanding
true.
what their uh vision is, it's kind of makes sense. They probably saw you move your hand, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So that, like if you think about it, like as we're talking and trying to think through scenarios and bringing that instance up, like yeah, we weren't that far away. We were less than 50 yards. So I think we were probably, yeah, we were way less than 50 yards, but like in between 30 and 50 yards. And so that if you think that, bringing that in close, and if they can see 8 times sharper, or than the human eye, focus that much stronger. So like, yeah, that's a kind of a distance, but that their eyesight's really that well, that's really close for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's kind. I guess I don't understand. I feel like the article might have been contradicting itself. I guess I don't understand the depth perception. We have better depth perception, but they can see further.
Yeah, well, I think it was saying that the way that they're the field of view, like because like instead of our field of
Oh
view is
yeah,
like this.
because we could kind of focus in on.
Yeah, theirs is so much wider that it's hard for them to bring it all back in to
If
focus
they
on
could
it.
see your hand move from 100 yards away, I mean, I feel like that's pretty good depth perception.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, but still, like,
But anyway, yeah, it kind of helps you understand. It's kind of amazing that anybody can actually get a turkey in a sense because their eyesight being so well. But that's probably where decoys come in because it distracts the bird. And if
right,
you're set up right, the bird's focused on that decoy,
yeah,
and then you get your shot off. So
right.
running and gunning is a good can be a good method too, but it's probably not quite as effective as maybe decoys.
Right, yeah. I think running and gunning, I'm gonna probably start using that strategy a little bit more. But as far as trying to locate them, and then kind of like like you see elk hunting, like people will call and hear them bugle, so then they try to close the distance and then set up again and try to bring them in even closer. So I'm thinking I'm going to try using that scenario as far as my running and gunning goes. I'm going to try to hopefully hear them gobble and then work my way closer and then try to set up someplace in between where I hear them and where I'm at and
Yep.
hopefully get them to close the distance, unless I can see where they're at and I can use the shrubbery to my benefit to get into position to shoot them. But you know, it's all whatever the woods is going to give me.
Yeah. 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 That's the thing, right? Whatever the woods will give you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've been kind of focusing on more of the running and gunning, but I'm kind of wanting to do the opposite and or what you're doing or how you want to go to more running and gunning. I'm like, man, I kind of want to do the decoy thing. I just want to get into them, like everywhere I go, I know that they're there at some point in the year, but I'm just not running into them or hearing them very much. But I think my disservice though is I'm probably getting out a little later than I should when they're the most vocal. I think they're kind of more vocal earlier in the morning, and I'm getting out there a little later. So that's probably my biggest disservice. But that other article that we were looking at, I mean, it says between 10 and 2. Uh, it depends on the vocalness, if that's a word. That's kind of depends on what the tom is looking for, but sometimes the toms will actually be pretty silent because they're more focused on not chasing hens during that time, but more food and water. So it's a toss up. I mean,
yeah,
whether it's a toss up whether morning, like early morning is better or in the evening. But to locate them, I think probably early morning, get that, hear them gobbling. And then, so
Yeah.
whenever, when I get back from Denver, the following weekend, I'm gonna try my best to get out there early in the morning and stay out there all day and hopefully come up with something. That is the goal anyway.
Huh. Sounds like a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. Need it to work. I need some success under our belts
True.
so we
True.
can change our podcast name to the Successful Hunters.
Yes. But yeah, so that's like I said, hopefully some of these topics we kind of went over a little bit just help you, whoever's listening, maybe think of something a little different that they're doing, tweaking something a little different. Like I said, I'm gonna, like try to, every time I set my decoys out, I try to set them up in a way that, like, I think I'm trying to think of which way the turkeys will be coming from and set them up so that way they're not like they're walking straight into me, like. But every time I sat down, I always look at them like, well, I'm looking at the decoy. The turkey's, of course, the turkey's going to be looking at me, you know. But but it's hard to say which way they're really coming in.
Yeah, that is kind of a toss up there because I mean, if you could see the decoy, then if that turkey decides to come in that direction, then they'll probably see you too.
Right.
Yeah, man, this stuff is tough sometimes. I mean, it just gets, you're trying to do all the right things, and then you go out there and you do it, then you're like, well, this doesn't feel right.
Yeah. But, but I guess that's how like being. I think that's one of the things is not being successful at turkey hunting yet is you kind of get out there and you start working on things and you're like, oh, and then you start analyzing it all and being like, oh, this is why I'm not successful. Like when in reality, you're just, yeah, that, being successful builds confidence. And then when you're not successful, you kind of doubt yourself. And when you don't see the success and in the time frame you think you should see it, you start doubting and you start tweaking. And I think that's when you kind of get in trouble too. But if you keep in your bag of tricks to what needs to be done and just stay at it, it kind of helps versus getting loose and sloppy, and then you're not going to be successful, I think.
Nah, makes sense. I think that's kind of what get a little deep here. Like I think that's what's been striking us the worst is our confidence kind of striking out the last few years on everything. What's that called? There's a name for it where they go for like six different animals or something with a bow, or some of them do it with a rifle. But what is that? Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
The only thing I don't, probably not. Well, it comes to mind. It's probably not what you're looking for, but like the Grand
Oh,
Slam.
Grand Slam. No, that's exactly, yeah, that's what it is. Grand Slam. We're like the I don't know what it is opposite of that, but we're that. We're opposite of Grand Slam.
Hey, it's got to be something, and at least we're good at it.
Yeah. Well, I like to joke about it, but I don't know. It'll all turn around.
Yeah, it will.
I found a horn today. That's like turning. I feel like that's kind of turning my luck around.
Of course it is.
You said you found a deadhead, right?
Yeah, I found a little deadhead, a little 2 point. That forks were about inch and a half from tip
Oh,
to
that was
tip.
real little. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
real little.
yeah, it was
That's all right though. I
tiny.
mean, at least you found something though. It's still kind of cool. Did you take it home or?
Yeah, I get down at my sister's place. She found a little one too,
Oh,
so
gotcha.
I just was like, I just keep it together, and it was chewed on too. Like it would, one side was kind of chewed away, so but the other side you can
Uh,
tell was a 2 point. So
gotcha. That's cool. I mean, at least you found that.
yeah, it was fun. Like it was kind of funny because so she found hers first, and we're walking side by side, and she looked over and like ran in front of me and to over on my side to my left and picked up this little deadhead. And I was like, oh man, why didn't I see that? So, and then we're cruising along again, and I look over and I run to her right and go over and pick up this little deadhead. So we both like crisscrossed each other.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was
That's
kind of
good
funny.
stuff. That's fun. Yeah, it's fun finding that kind of stuff though.
Yeah,
Well, I kind of think that we're kind of rounding that corner. We're running out of
yeah,
stuff to talk about. So
yeah. I think we kind of got it. I think buttoned up. Like I said, we talked about what we did this weekend, our hunts, what I don't want to say family obligations, but taking care of our families and uh, little articles we read, try to pass on some tips, and hopefully something we said, what beginning to the end, in the middle, there was some type of sliver that somebody enjoyed.
yeah, well, probably the whole thing in my book.
I would.
Yeah, me too. I'd probably even share with all my friends.
Yeah, if I had any friends that I'd for sure share with them. I think it'd be some high quality listening going on here that definitely
Yeah, I'd probably sync up everybody's phone together and just listen to it all at once.
right.
Listen
Yeah,
to
have
the podcast all at once.
a little kumbaya session together on the struggling hunters.
Yep. I could see it happening. So with that said, guys, like, share a podcast, help us grow, help us spread the word. And thanks for listening. This is the Struggling Hunters, and we are out of here.
Keep pushing, guys.